Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Let's Talk Real Life with Miss Nada Manning. I'm your co-host, Vernon Garrison, and welcome to Awesome Radio 107.5 WECU. Find us on social media, YouTube and Facebook. Like, share, and subscribe. It's powerful information on a weekly basis. So we're looking forward to sharing some knowledge with you that is life-changing. Again, 107.5 WECU, also with a partner station, GPAT 23, a local access channel, and they also have a social media platform that you can find us there, and also airing the platform live, the show live. So at any time you feel like interacting with us, drop a comment, share the video with someone, and we would certainly appreciate it. All right, without a delay, I am introducing the host with the most, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nada Manning.
Hello, everyone. I am very happy to be with you all this evening. I pray that all is going well with many of you. It would be nice if it was going well for everybody, but since this is a real talk show, we know everybody don't have it going all great. So it's still happy to have you under the sound of our voices as we bring to you another yet interesting topic. So we want to move right into it. Coach Garrison is going to do much of the talking. I may or may not say anything because it's all on him until Miss Manning get her health together. We're just going to let him move forward, and he's going to do a great job. I'm just going to listen in. I'm going to write down some questions. I may not ask them right now, but I'm going to let him move forward with it. So, Coach, by all means, amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, a very serious topic here. Look forward to doing this topic a few more times in a couple of more formats. But today the subject is 5 ways someone can, will unalive you. 5 ways that someone can and will unalive you, meaning take your life. Very serious topic here. And I can't help but introduce in my studio here, my whiteboard here, and I'll be using it from time to time, but I got to do some practice. So with what we're talking about today, I'd say godly provision and guidance is definitely encouraged today because we're talking about death. And I'm going to be quite frank as I can. And I'm going to give the symbol of a show today. I'm going to, let's see here. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. And we're going to do that. And that. And that right there. Put a smile on the skull and crossbones. Okay? That's what we're using today. And by all means, the goal is, in the end of the show, is to have what was done on the cross to cover us as we wade through this subject. So thank you for your patience. The first way that I want to talk about someone unaliving you is before you are born, before you were born, and before your offspring is born. Before you were born, there was likely attempts, and or before your offspring is born. See, we are a temple. We are a being that God has created for a purpose. And so we must beget others to come behind us to continue the vision and the way that God has imparted us to live. And of course, it's called humanity. Well, in humanity, I'll talk about this for a second. People have an appetite to take lives. People have an appetite to take lives. I'm not saying that those in your vicinity and those in your circle have that appetite. You know, there have been times that you've heard and seen certain things in people's character. But if we look at the news every day, you will see its face. You will see gloom and doom. My educational background is in criminal justice. I worked in maximum security 5 years, supervising murder 1, murder 2. I also supervised federal inmates, lockdown inmates, and the range was from hitmen to downright out assault, robbery, some of the most violent crimes that you can think of. And I've also been trained to investigate. And when you investigate a murder, and when you look at a crime scene or what could possibly be a crime scene, you look at it objectively and you're looking for the motive. And today we're talking about the motive of people that want to unalive you. It starts with a forethought. First degree murder is when you take someone's life with malice and forethought. Do we know what malice is? Do we know what anger and rage is? Second degree murder. You and I have a fight, Ms. Nada, and I wound up unaliving you during the fight because I picked up an instrument or a tool. That is not a premeditated situation. That was me having access to a tool or something I use as a weapon to unalive you at that time. You would also think of someone who is on their deathbed and they are transitioning. Think of what has to happen before that person leaves and after that person leaves. There's life after death. There's inheritance that take place. There's property that is exchanged. There's rites of passage that families receive, a will, insurance monies. These are motives. These are motives that will supersede people's love for you. So as I'm talking about number one, I wanted to preface the subject a little more. Before you were born, now my mother tried to abort me 3 times prior to me arriving. She tried to drink a concoction that a local person told her to drink, and then that would cause me to abort, to come out, and that didn't work. She tried to jump off of a kerosene tank, which usually was stationed around our homes at that time to fuel the heater. She tried to jump off one of those onto her stomach and cause, I guess, some impact that would, boom. I don't see why it didn't come out then. If she did it, she must have jumped on her shoulder. She must have caught herself at the last moment. But that was an attempt there. And then there was another one where she was supposed to use a clothes hanger, I guess, to insert it into her body in some place, in some way. And that was to have me to come out. Unaliving a person by another person will be somebody giving you or someone else advice. You don't need that child. That child, you're too young to have that child. You don't need that child. If you have that child, you're not going to be able to feed that child. If you have that child, he's not going to have a father. If you have that child, you could possibly die yourself having that child. There are states of mind that you got to make sure that if you're getting counsel from someone who's talking about abortion, that is if you even believe in it. And if somebody's talking to you about abortion, where does the counseling come from? What type of counseling are you getting? It could be from someone who is coming from a place that is going to take you in the wrong direction. To me, life is born at, once it's conceived, and I'm not a proponent for abortion. I do believe that if there are issues and complications with abortion, that you will take those things up with your pastor, your parents, and your doctor, or your leader when you you're working these things out. And I hope everyone has that in their circle, but I don't think they do. Some people don't want anybody to know that they're pregnant. Now, my objective is the unaliving part is, now that I got that part out of the way, some of us were not supposed to be here. Some of us were not supposed to be carrying out the visions and helping people and, using our gifts to better life for others and to beget our children. Some of us were not supposed to be here. So the unaliving part is an assault on life. An assault on life prior to make it to where you do not have that child. Do not. So if you under the circumstances, if you're having promiscuous sex and a child is born, I'm not so sure with the way that Jesus was born. I'm not so sure that we are all in control of how our beginning and our end, or our destiny, our conception, if you will. I'm not so sure I'm entrusting that with you, because God, my mom said I was a mistake. She hadn't laid with my dad in over 10 years, and all of a sudden it just happened. And I shouldn't have laid with your dad that night. One time, and we hadn't slept, so evidently they were sleeping in separate rooms, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, so I'm not so sure. Hold on. I am sure that I'm supposed to be here because of the people in the lives that I've been a part of. I was not wanted. I was not expected. But look at what has happened. And so I can look retroactive because I've been a part of lives and been able to make a difference. So what I'm saying is, I'm not so sure that just because you thought it was under fornication, or you thought it was under adultery, or you thought it was under circumstances that you thought that your finite mind is in control of all what God has to do. I don't have the right to make that decision. I can make one from where I am. As a coach, I can look out there on the field and say, oh yeah, you're doing well or you're not. But that's based on what I see. But the assault to unalive someone can begin before they are born and before others are born. And it's reality. And it's reality. I was going to bring out the abortion statistics, but I know all of the babies that's being aborted are not just because of extreme circumstances. People are just saying, nah. A matter of fact, I know there's a pill that says, what is it, morning after, or whatever, if you think you're pregnant, you can just. So those things, I believe we have to be very careful because we're taking life into our own hands under very interesting circumstances. We do have the power of life and death. Okay. That was the first one. I pray that if you have another point of view that you engage with me. If you disagree with me, by all means, I want to know about that. It might make it juicy. Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. But before you were born, people can try to take your life and the life that you are to bring into this world, and even third, fourth, fifth generation, your great-grandchildren. Last thing I'll say about before you're born, biologically, when within a woman, when she's born, a girl is born, and I can't wrap my head around this completely, but so you got to Google this, guys. The eggs for the generations to come are already in her body. The essence of the life going forward. Now, I'm not talking about the essence or the concept of her having children. No. The physical identity or egg, is where we come from. Eggs sound like a chicken, though. Are already in a woman's body when she's born. So her daughter, her grandchild, all of those are in your body, Ms. Nada. There probably could have been 5 or 6 more generations of children that you were to bring forth or could have brought forth. And so us to be in the pilot of our own lives, sometimes we have to sort of question that and what God has in store for us as a person, us as a community, us as a nation, and our bloodline, which is very, 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 very important. You can go biblical on that. I'm going to move on to number 2. If you don't have any questions, Miss Manning, or comments?
I had 3 questions.
Sure.
That I was going to save. When mom is in the position of ending that child's life before it's born, mom is at jeopardy of ending her own life. It's just a comment, not a question.
Oh, okay.
However way mom decides to do it, I'm thinking she is jeopardizing her own life, whether she uses an instrument or whether she take it by mouth. It's still going into her body. And while she's trying to end that child's life, she could be ending her own life. So it is, to me, it's a terrible risk of doing so, especially if it's not done medically. And sometimes I think if it's medically, it don't always go, it's not always 100% then either. However way they do it, I don't know. And my other comment is when you were talking about yourself, and your mom was telling you that, or however way you found out that she tried to abort you, and she and dad only got together one time, 10 years apart or whatever, ever how long it had been. Did it not come across your mind to find out for sure that you were your dad's child? You knew you were your mama's child, but was that your dad? Did you ever, a lot of times when some youngsters, they grow up and they're trying to get their identity, they be wanting to know, is this my biological father? Or is that my biological mother? So I wonder with you having those 3 times the attempt to rid you, did it ever become a bigger concern of you to find out, well, who is my dad? Is that my real dad? Or did it matter? Some people say, it really don't matter whether he's my dad or not. I'm here. So it is what it is.
I would say to, are you my daddy thing? I grew up with my dad in the house, and very mysterious kind of fella. And I had some questions I often have asked and joked with her, and then serious. Is that my dad? Because I'm so much taller and broad-shouldered than my brother. There's almost nothing too much in common. And then I said, you know what? I'll do some stuff one day, and I'm about to do the ancestry thing, by the way. I'm about to do that just for kicks and giggles. And I'm just now getting to know another child that my dad had prior to him marrying my mom. And, I said, Mama, are you? And she swears out. I said, where did I get the name Vernon from? What in the world? How in the world? Who? What? So I often joust with her about that, but I was never that seriously concerned because me and my dad had such a bond in a sense. We talked, and very little we talked, and I took care of him at a dysfunctional family. And, he was an alcoholic and I stood right with him. Yeah. It was just a thing, but I was never that curious enough to have a DNA test.
And that's not uncommon. That is not uncommon at all. And I believe in today's society, and even back in the day, this is what we are talking about is nothing new, but some children, like you say, don't really want to know, don't really care. It is what it is. So, and that's, to me, is a healthy way to look at it. I think it's more unhealthy if the child want to dig and dig and dig and dig and then find out stuff they didn't want to find out. And then you got a whole nother can of worms. And instead of, as they say back in the day, let sleeping dogs lie. Don't go stirring up the can of worms. Just let them be still in the can and put the top on it.
Right.
Thank God that you're here. Be grateful that you're doing as well as you are, people, and not worry about how you came here. And then some of you probably saying that's easy for you to say. That's easier said than done. Well, I'm just saying. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, I say you can find out if you do an investigation and not be worried at the same time, because it's what it is, and it might change the trajectory of how you feel in the future about a certain person. I knew family members or relatives that had out of wedlock children, and they were living in the same household with, and they gave them nicknames. One guy, he didn't even call his daughter, who he knew she wasn't his daughter. He didn't call her by her name. He just called her, "Hey, girl." And I didn't find it out until an adult. I was like, well, why did he always just call her "Hey, girl"? Because he did not want to call her by a name because it wasn't his child. Well, it was normalcy to us. It was normal to hear him speak like that. So it can, open up a whole type of life for someone. All right. The next thing that a person can do to unalive you is not support you. And when a person doesn't provide for you, there's not provisions being made even before you get here. There's no substance in a household, or you living in an area of poverty. You're living in an area where there is resistance. You're in an area where someone doesn't. You're born in a situation where they're not making sure you get education. They're not making sure you have a right to the future through an inheritance. There's no inheritance. Now, you do your biblical study on whether we're supposed to be leaving an inheritance for our children, whether our children are supposed to be our crown of the old men. So you want to look at those things. But when it comes to someone not being supported, that means you starve them. You leave them to themselves to die. Just because someone gets on drugs. To me, the person with a substance abuse issue does not do any more damage than someone with an evil intent, an evil mind, and they rob, steal, and deplete people through physical and mental abuse in a marriage. To me, substance abuse and that go hand in hand. It's just, well, both of them look bad. I was about to say one looks worse than the other. But mental abuse, abusing someone, a narcissist, on an assault for 10 years can literally take the essence of what God has called you to do, can take your vision, can kill your passion. Now, I'm not saying your passion is your gift, but if you wanted to go to school to open a daycare center and your partner just killed that dream, but not for good reasons, meaning you're going to do what I want you to do, not because I'm doing something. I might not be doing nothing. I'm just going to stop you from doing what you're doing. So I'm not talking about a family that's trying to take on one vision. Now I got to talk about myself. I wish that my family just had one vision. I wish that my ex just wanted to do what I wanted to do. And therefore, I wouldn't have had to worry about whether I'm slowing her down from pursuing her dreams or whether I'm providing enough for her to accomplish what she's trying to accomplish. But I'm not talking about those things where people are trying and they're in a marriage, they're in a relationship, they're in a partnership where there's effort there. I'm talking about the sheer neglect and malice of someone saying, no, you're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. There's no explanation. There's no why. There's not a long-term manifestation of something else that you guys were doing that came to light. There's just nothing. And the evil intent behind that comes from, and I hope people can realize this one here now, jealousy, envy, strife. Some people are born with an intent to keep things stirred up to where if I was going to loan you $100,000 to get your life together and get you out of debt, to provide for you, they would come to me and say, Vern, Miss Nada, she ain't nothing. I wouldn't help her if my life depended on it. They would do the very level best to help you rethink what you're doing, and they would literally change a decision that was going to change your life. They will not provide. Now I'm going to get down into the nitty gritty here. They will not provide the right medical care for you in order to see your life fade away. You will be sitting in that chair until you die. They will not make sure you're taken care of. They will not make sure you eat healthy food. They will not make sure you go in your doctor's appointments on time. They feel like their life is more important. They will, to me, it's an indirect way of our way of lifestyle, our way of living now. We allow our children, the word says, to train up our children the way that they should go. And we allow them to take off. And I know I've said this several times. So go anywhere in the world you want to just because you can. That's not what should be done. I'm done with that. You have a circle of life. We don't have homesteads anymore, communities where your family live together and support each other. So now you've gone away. Now you're going to pay $2,000 a month for child care. You're going to rent a whole and buy a whole new house because you don't want your parents' house. You don't want to live in that neighborhood. You don't want to revitalize the small town and let that town see a vision. You say, well, ain't nothing in that small town. Greenville started as a small town. All big cities started as a small town. What if God had you born in that little small town so you can make that little small town a bustling city or providing for people, regardless of whether it's a bustling city or not? I could actually literally take your life by leaving you. If you want to see how men can struggle and you want to see what God thought, perhaps, and I'm the last one to ask about the mind of God. Why did he say it's not good for man to be alone? Well, boom, you do the study yourself. I'm not going to try to say what God said in a sense. I'm sure there's some Bible scholars out there that should, but he said we shouldn't be alone, and he created help for us. And the position that he created was so powerful that it sort of overshadowed the fact that, man, if man didn't have a woman, we'd be sitting here looking like Bobo the Clown. We could not survive. In a lot of cases, I got to be careful, and you should be careful how you talk to a woman, because if she leaves you in all your bravo and all your masculinity and all your alpha and sigma male factors, would likely not be as effective. Well, one wouldn't have any children, in that aspect. So that's how important God, endorsed the woman. But we would be a mess without the help. So back to my point, if there is no provision, you will perish. And so a man that is not providing education for his children, not providing the best to train that child to have a doctor in the family, a lawyer in the family, to have a dentist in the family, an accountant in the family. We don't have those things, so we're killing ourselves. We're imploding without resources. I'm going to say one more thing. I saw you raise your hand. I got to save this for the other one. We are dying because we're struggling so much because we are the borrower. Remember this. That's going to be in the next section. That's number 5, part of number 5. But we are struggling, malnutrition, economically, financially, physically, high blood pressure, lack of mental health treatments. So we're losing our minds because of a struggle that we should not be fighting, because we're not providing and being provided for. Therefore, we're unaliving ourselves, with the Black woman being the number 1 mortality rate issue, or the reason why Black women are passing away right now is high blood pressure and sugar diabetes. That's an area of provision. Are we in food deserts? Or we not have access to healthy food? Or is it tradition? If it's tradition that we eat pork, meat, fat meat, all that, so then that tradition is not providing what it should for us, and we die because of it. You raised your hand, Madam Manning.
Yes, I wanted to go back to your comment about taking your life by leaving a person. And if you made a comment that because a man need a woman. So my question is, I guess it's twofold. Why does man or men, some men, deliberately hurt a woman? Why is that?
Well, I would say
what causes a man to want to, unless she has, it still don't make it right, but we are human, so we hurt. Everybody hurt at some point.
Right.
But when in a case where the woman has not, and I'm only bringing this up because you're saying that a person's life can be taken by leaving a person. It could be the man leaving, or it could be the woman leaving.
Amen.
So he's taken his or her life because he has left. Okay. He may obviously there's a reason why he or she left. But if there has not been a legitimate reason for a person to hurt someone else, why even go that route? What causes that? I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm listening. Why does a man deliberately hurt a woman if what you're saying, a man needs to have a woman to thrive? Must have. I guess he can survive without her, but only for so long. So why would the man want to hurt someone that's trying to help him?
Well, I will say that hurt people. I would say that is a reflection. Sometimes I was talking to a professor yesterday, and I wish I'll just basically summarize what she said. And she was talking to someone else who had qualifications. When you are not a lion and you want to be a lion, you want to roar, you want to be the king of the jungle, then you'll go around looking at other people's weaknesses, and you'll be highlighting everything that you can in other people's lives because of your insecurity. That's as deep as I can get for the appetite to demean other people. That's just one example, because you want to be what you want to be, and you can't stand to see others be who they are. You can't stand to see a woman have as much power as she has over you in the emotional category, because we are born of women. They were the host of us coming into this world. They were the nurturers, and now you're not getting it the way you want because you want your mom, and you didn't marry your mom, or you want the person that you married to be your mom. And so you're going to try to socially engineer that person to meet every emotional need that you have. And so there's a conflict there, and not only emotional needs, but some physical needs. So you try to subject or submit someone into being a femme, being soft, being submissive to you. That right there is surely mental health. It's how you were raised. It's the rules of being socially accepted. If you're a bad boy and you like being a bad boy, you like being this rah-rah person and cover up all your insecurities and bully your way through life and intimidate people, then by means you got an audience. I can't say it's the worst thing in the world, because guess what? There's a lot of women. Now, some people say all, but a lot of women like bad boys, and they fall for bad boys. Those ones that treat the way that you just said, that dominant personality that actually intentionally hurt them. But in the end, they want to be with this high risk person. So that's a polarization that life, in a battery, there's a positive side and a negative side. There's a light, there's a darkness, there's a up, there's a down. So there are some polarizations that are natural in life. And I think a man that hurts a woman, just because he think he's physically stronger than her or more wittier than her, he got another thing coming, because God gave that woman some things that will shut you down as a man. You just don't want to admit it.
And saying all of that on a biblical side.
Yeah.
Those of us who are somewhat biblically sound know full well that we should not deliberately hurt anyone, especially if they don't deserve it. Okay? If they don't deserve it, they have not, what reason, what rationale would, and it could be both ways. It could be the man hurting her or she hurting him. What rationale would you want to come up with for hurting someone for no apparent reason? We're talking about unalive in the emotional sense, not in the physical sense, but being unalive in the emotional sense and a mental sense. It creates some discord there between the man and the woman. And so in my minute mind, when we're talking about such as this, perhaps the relationship or the whatever it was between him and her wasn't what he or she thought it was. For him or her to hurt one another, whether he did it or she did it, I'm just trying to get my mind around what would provoke someone to do that for no apparent reason at all. If you really did not want to be with the person, then just walk away and say, you know what, this is not working out. That would be a healthier way to do it, biblically speaking, because at the end of the day, when we do stuff like that, we all know that have some biblical knowledge. God knows it all and he sees all. He does not forget. And that part about reaping what you sow is going to come back on you. It might be 10 years, 20 years. It might be the next day, the next week, but it's going to come back on a person who just out and out for no apparent reason to emotionally and mentally unalive a person.
Let me share this with you.
No excuse at all. Just yeah. And no explanation.
Now,
it's just done.
Let me say this. Now, go deep with me for a moment. Just because you don't know why they did it, that does not mean that there was not an explanation. They did not explain that to you. In law enforcement, you investigating the case so hard, you're hoping the person that their life was taken, you hoping that they cry out from the grave to tell you what happened just before their life was taken. You're hoping that there's something you find 10 years from now in the DNA that shows that that's the person who actually did it, because they are so well disguised in their life that they I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with it at all, and they're walking the streets right now today scot-free. Now, here's what I want to say, and I'm going to let you talk because I'm about to forget what I'm about to say. The motives of people are hidden so deeply that's why I'm coming up with this original series. The motives of people are so camouflaged. They're camouflaged in their assertiveness. I'm going to win. I'm going to get what I want. There's nothing going to stop me. Well, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain so those that read it can run with it. So if I'm toppling over people, am I stepping on people, or am I assertive and going towards my goal? And if you get in the way of me making my bag, me making my money, I'm going to run over you. But you should know I'm going to run over you. I'm not going to listen to you, Mom, because I'm on a mission. Well, people should clearly see your mission. So if I'm hurting you by being assertive, no, I'm not spending money on that. I'm finishing my PhD. We're not buying a new car. We're not buying a new house. Go sit down. Leave me alone. I'm not buying you no shoes because I got college to pay for. Or whatever sacrifice is being made. People should understand that. But you thinking they don't have a reason to hurt that person. But, oh, no. Help yourself.
Okay. You're saying what people should understand.
I'm saying it's there.
No person is a mind reader. Some things in some ways, shape, or form is not as evident to everybody. Therefore, communication is what's critical in today's time, back in the day, tomorrow. Communicate and make it known and make it clear.
But if I have a position, stop right there. If I have a position in life that I am standing on, there's only so much I'm going to share with you about my position and what my plans are before I lose momentum by sharing it with you. So if I'm hurting you, I might decide not to allow you to get any closer to me because you might persuade me to tone down, slow down, not sign up for the military. You might convince me not to sign those papers and buy that new muscle car that I want. So I am going to just move forward and not be transparent. I just explained to you why somebody will hurt you and you don't know the apparent reason. Now, there are accidents that do happen. There are unintentional actions that we all do that we didn't quite get to play. The coach called and we ran off picking flowers and I left you and the wolves got you. I left the door open somewhere, I suppose, in my marriage because the strong man came in and bounded up my house and took my woman. So it could have been something that I did. So what I was trying to do is find out what went wrong. Why did she leave? So that I could try to recover and teach myself a lesson. So
and that's valid information. And that's a natural thing to do when a person is concerned enough to want to find out why. That person would have to be concerned and conservative enough to find out why. What did I do? What went wrong? Why did you do that? What's going on? Where instead of just overlooking it and just letting it go, don't talk about it no more, it's done, it's over with. That is not the right way to handle if that person is someone that you care about. Right. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about emotions, mentally. Yeah. All of that. It takes a strong person to overcome some things that causes this kind of friction, which it was totally unnecessary. Well, and the victim is the one that's hurt. The one who did the harm is probably just blowing it off like, oh, well, it is what it is. And just let that is not the right way.
I gave a couple of examples. I got two more of these to do. So I got to head on up the road a little bit. But I get you. You know, you might know, you might not. Like I say, law enforcement is trying to find out motives all the time. And here we go. So the next one, someone can unalive you is through your distractions, through envy, through division, through taking you off course. Here you go, man. Smoke this. It's going to make you feel good. Here you go, man. Let's go to this place over here, man. They got plenty of chicks over here. We go promiscuity and looking at shiny objects in your life. How many of can lead you on a journey? I was about to do like the preachers do, but I'll be getting tired of them saying, how many of y'all know agree with this? Raise your hand. Touch somebody to your neighbor and say this, that, the other. No, I ain't doing all that today. Distractions could be, I'm giving you an award. I'm gonna go deep on this one. You're getting an award, Miss Nada. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and the winner is, and all of a sudden, this chick on the other side over there, and me, yeah, I was there. I helped her. I did all of this, and she wouldn't be getting it if it weren't for me. So she said all that in her standing up while your name was being called. People know how to spiritually interfere at intersections of your life that will send you off course and that will unalive you. They will take the trophy, the gift. If you're waiting in line for a heart transplant, they will get in line and take the heart that you were about to receive. They will take the man that you was about to get. They will take the woman from you because they know they're a player of players that play. They will take the woman that was likely going to be your wife and to bear your children. So I'm not just talking about distractions. They give you drugs. You get the substance abuse issue takes the essence of every aspect of your life to beat a substance. And I'm not talking about crack cocaine or fentanyl. I'm talking about even if it's chicken wings. Because my cholesterol has been out of control for quite some time. And it will cause calcification in my heart. And it will cause my blood vessels to get clogged. So food, anything, spells that people can cast on you will unalive you. Distractions. Your gifts, use a gift is what you should be making your living off of. But I got you digging potatoes for the rest of your life. Now, whether you're afraid to follow what your gift is and you're good at it, and whether it was nurtured when somebody determined that you were a great artist or that you were a great singer and that you sang better than a lot of people around, they just told you to shut up. You wasn't squealing. You wasn't doing the Tarzan like some people do. Oh, no, you wasn't doing that. You were hitting them notes. Da, 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 da. You were doing it right, and they told you to shut up. That's a distraction.
And that's it can be that way in the workplace as well. When you got a good project you're working on and you got it going on, everything is going smooth. You get your timelines correct. You're meeting all your deadlines. Everything is running great, only for you to get to near the end or have gotten to the end, turn it in, and you're told that was not done correctly. That's just snatch the rug right from under all of that work that you just did when you know within yourself that it was done right on time, done properly, but that person just want to what you call an unalive you by taking all the kudos away. No, that's not right. You need to go back and start over. So that's like putting a pin in a balloon and just letting all the air out. Your parachute is now coming down. It's got a rip in it, and you're going to hit the bottom if you don't hurry up and mend that balloon or mend that parachute, because you're going to end up being hurt because of what they said to you to undermine your attention. undermine your efforts and your energy. And that's a hurting thing.
Let me follow that with this one, the big one. I'm glad I didn't forget it. Somebody take your husband, somebody take your baby daddy and distract them. He gone. Now your children got to fight through the jungle. You get distracted because you're weak. Let's look at the other side of it now. You get distracted because you're not strong. You didn't come up in a strong father home or somebody covering you.
Environment. Yeah.
And got you strong enough. So you're weak and you go and do your whole time, but you don't make it back. Yeah. You go to college, you laying around, you doing this, and before you graduate, you're supposed to make it back. But you've had so many impressions that the hold down dancing you was doing just done tore up your body, just done tore up your countenance. Now you're out, you're actually literally looking for a man that is the Black Panther, Superman. You need a hero to come into your life to save you, or you a brother, a dude, you done slept with so many people. You need a hero to get your attention when you come out into the world 24-25, because of all of the interference that you have allowed into your body, into your spirit. Now you look, well, ain't no women out here good enough for me. Or the woman that ain't no men out here good enough for me. Look at where you done been. Look at the things that you've subjected or you've been subjected to. See what I'm saying now? Look at what you've been subjected to and the trauma that you have. So you can't resist that temptation because your resistors are very low. That is you distracting yourself, which can literally downgrade and unalive you when you start getting creative, trying to make things happen, gaslight people, knowing knowing you're trying to get men to pay for your meal, but you know you don't like to work. So you're gaslighting people. I don't know if you're strong enough to take care of my children. Well, you don't want to take care of them either. So there are things that we're not built for, that we lose our resistance because of what we've gone through. That is literally taking our quality of life, and we don't eat right. We're depressed. We don't get mental health. We don't take our meds. We don't take vitamins. We don't get clinically treated. So we literally are so unhealthy on the inside that our promiscuity leads me to our next one. But you had something to say before I do the final. Oh, Lord, it's 53. The last one, ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes, is suicide. When someone has taken your mind and your heart, and they come right out on social media sometime and say, you are so worthless, you might well just go kill yourself. People do that every single day at the command of others. So the last way that I want to talk about somebody unaliving you is they tell you to do it, and they get you to do it, and you eat yourself to death, or you don't take care of your body. You never follow doctor's orders. You have just done I don't blame stuff on the devil all the time. You just done the job of unaliving yourself, because over 15 years, you have created a body, a mind, a spirit that is so broken that it simply puts you in a life of crime and risque activity in your life, that you are in the way of death and someone takes your life.
And having said that, one last point we have run down to the few seconds on the air about the suicide thing. Yes, the command of others, and it takes, we're talking biblically now, we want to focus on those who are listening, all of our listeners out there, to continue to focus on how good God is. This is going into a Thanksgiving season, and it's going into the Christmas season. This is the time of the year where we all are going through a lot of emotions, a lot of physical things. our mental state of mind gets all twisted up, as younger folks might say. Then I might be outdated for saying it, but all jacked up. And it just makes it very, very difficult for us. So, Father God, we want to thank you for this time. Coach Garrison did an excellent job in bringing out these 5 pointers about the issues of life. I mean, we all know that stuff happens. This unalive person to unalive people. But anyway, Lord, we want to focus on you as we move forward and giving you praise and honor for all that you have done for us. And this season that's coming upon us, we give you praise and honor. Touch all hearts and minds out there, Lord, to understand what we've said, to take it to heart, and to get with someone in a good environment to encourage them to move forward and look to you, because you're the answer to all of the problems. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 107.5 WECU, Awesome Radio. Look forward to seeing you on the next show. We love you guys. Have a great rest of the day.